well. Okay, I can hear you. Fantastic. It is on now. Well, welcome again to the 120th year of the reception of the Book of the Law and Eclipse season still on, as you can see that, right? We're still there with Mercury in a retro wave or Gatorade and all those things. What can I say? Welcome everyone. We're back. Do what the will shall be the whole of the law. Let's restart from there, right? So, well, I can say that we're on a good start, right? So tonight, what do I want to say tonight? Well, today it's a very like general like live stream, just hanging out. Um, as I posted on all my socials and the various platforms. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat in the various chats. I know that this is as usual. I'm broadcasting everywhere. It's on YouTube, it's on Twitch, it's on Instagram, it's on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now. It's on Facebook. So you can drop your questions down, and I will be able to see them. Hopefully, and maybe I will be able to answer them. In the meantime, I have some things to say as well. First of all, I would like to welcome Tess. She just became a YouTube member. Thank you very much, Tess. Very much appreciated. As usual, you know all the things you can do to support me and what I do, and it's very, very much appreciated. Thank you. So before we move on to some of your questions, let's discuss. Well, first and foremost, you know how it is. I have to tell you what's happening next, what's coming up next with all the things I do. I'm going to start with something that I hope some of you will like. Well, look at that. I have a Kindle giveaway. I have 10 copies of my book on Kindle that are up for grabs for anyone who's going to help me doing do something, right? Like I have a series of things coming up, and if you gonna like make a social media post about any of these things, and you let me know, the first 10 people, there you go, you're gonna win my book on Kindle, if you want it, right? Like that's, I hope that there's a little bit of an incentive to do that, and I hear it's a great book. Hopefully, I mean, I just signed a contract for the next one, and I will talk about it in more later. But yes, so I guess people liked the first one. So, what are the things that you can help me share on social media? Well, first and foremost, look at that. I have something called the Tree of Clifford Explored, which is a weekend workshop. Weekend workshops are um, this new format that I'm trying. I already did one on the Thelema Holy season a couple of weeks ago. It went very well. Basically, it's like over 2 days at night. Obviously, at night from my here in London at least. So 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. On Saturdays and Sundays. We just discuss a topic together, and there is going to be some. In this case, we're going to discuss about the Clifford in all its various aspects. Coming starting from original traditional Jewish Kabbalah, coming up to all the various iterations in what I call the dark fluff or the left-hand path, to call it in a more serious way, I guess. And there will be also in this case some practical suggestions on how to use the Clifford. These weekend workshops are in many, like I do the classes which are like one-offs. They're relatively cheap at £20. Then I get the courses for over many weeks or months. Those are more expensive, of course. This one is priced at £60. If you're interested, I mean, I think already we already are like 10-15 people in. There are no limits, so if you're interested in that, you can join on Magick at marcovisconti.org. The other thing that's coming up is what I call the full immersion Magick. Now, this is a crazy experiment that I'm going to do. You might know that I have 3 big courses on Magick Without Tears, or Magick Foundations, I call it now. It's my introductory level course where I teach you how to do magic. Then there's the Thought Tarot Magic, where I guide you to all the 22 major arcana, and I explain to you all the magical formulas of Thelema that are found in it. And finally, the Holy Guardian Angel experience, where we go into more deeper and interesting, I think, subjects. Of course, all focus on the idea of the Holy Guardian Angel. Well, for the price of less than half of these three things together, which would be £800. So for £250, you can join me and around another 10 people already that signed up for these 6 weeks of full immersion, no stops. We're just gonna go as fast, but as in depth as possible over 6 weeks. And if you ask me if you ask me why you're trying this new format, because let's face it, I guess we're all Zoom fatigued, right? We're all live session fatigue. I'm surprised that I have 37 people watching me tonight. Thank you all for being here today. I mean, during the pandemic, we used to have hundreds. Of course, now the numbers are really down, of course, because everybody has, well, places to go, right? Most of the times. But like I said, this is why I'm giving this new format a shot. It's cheaper. It's all the material, and also you get access to all the materials from the previous courses. So it's I'm not joking. We're talking about over 200, maybe even 300 written lessons. There must be around 100 of pre-recorded hours of lessons, or like recorded live sessions, Q&As. It's a lot of material. I guess that there's everything I know about these topics. And if you go on my website again and you see the testimonials, everybody apparently they really liked what I do there. So anyway, this is another chance to get a hold of all this material and do 6 weeks with live sessions as well with me directly. So you get the chance to ask me the questions there and then. Okay. So I remember, if you promote these things on social media, you have a chance. The first time people to do that, and let me know, I will send you a link to the book, to the Kindle version of my book. Someone is asking, live course, is it face-to-face or online format? Unfortunately, it is online. When I say live cohorts, imagine that instead of this that you are experiencing right now, you are in a Zoom chat with me, so you can raise your hand, speak, and ask me question directly. It's that is why I call them live cohorts. Also because all these courses can be done as self-paced offerings as well, in the sense that you get the material, you do it on your own, and there's no direct possibility to ask me question in a live environment, online live environment. Now, it's interesting you mentioned the online format because, I've announced some retreats. Well, I announced one retreat in France in September. That is sold out already, right? So unfortunately, there's no way to get into that anymore. I'm pretty sure that I will be able to do maybe some live streams when we are there in France. It's going to be an incredible experience. I will talk more about what we're going to do there, possibly in one of the next YouTube live stream here on YouTube. I should say really online, like public live streams, just because I think it's what we're going to do is going to be really interesting. In a nutshell, we're going to explore Thelemic mysticism in depth. We're going to explore Babylon in the land of the Cathars. So I guess it's going to be very cool, I think. However, I'm going to have a new announcement now. And then we're going to move on to discussing a little bit of Magick. You might know that from these 3 courses here, there's one missing because I just finished running the first and only online cohort of something called Stairway to Heaven, which was basically my online offering with Peter Levenda. I guess everybody knows who Peter Levenda is, so I don't have to suggest the name, right? And we went for 7 weeks. We went there discussing his book, Stairway to Heaven, and on the concept of celestial ascent, which again, you can see it as, I think Jessica here just put the link on there. You can still read what we've done. However, you cannot join that anymore. That was a one-off with Peter, and it's gone. However, look at that. We're gonna do it live, and this is face-to-face. This is going to be from the 26th of February to the 2 of March 2025 in Joshua Tree. So, right outside Los Angeles, more or less, in the California desert. We're going to do that the same course, but expanded and extended in person next year. This is this will go on sale next week, and if you follow me on my social media accounts, you'll be able to know everything about this. There will be 50 people, 50 places available for this. We already have almost 200 requests, so it's going to be crazy, right? Um, and again, we're just going to do this week. We're not going to do two. It's not like if one week sells out, we're going to do another one. Peter is very busy. He's going to be even more busy now that Secret Machine, the third volume, has been announced and is going to be published in September. He is writing a book on the Clifford and Da'at and the Abyss, which is going to be really interesting. And so yeah, as you can imagine, it's going to be crazy. Somebody's saying, look at that. Hello from the US on my 10-minute break from work. Well, thank you, Diane. It's nice to have you. Thank you very much. And somebody, Christina say, looking forward to your Joshua Tree visit. I live in California. There's an amazing course to offer and Magick. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be fantastic. I hope that we get to meet in person, right? We've been chatting for a while on this virtual ether, right? And so it's really nice. What else is there? I still don't know how to use this thing after so many months. So long story short, if you help me promote any of these things and you let me know, one Kindle is yours. So how's everybody doing with the eclipse season? Like, see, here we are. I think we're still much into it, right? Usually the eclipses are felt 5 days before, 2 to 5 days after. And a lot of you, on various platforms were asking me, like, how is this going to affect the reception of the Book of the Law? And some of you also ask me, is it going to be particularly potent or whatnot because it is 120 here of the reception? And then someone else asked me, what is 120 years? Why it's important? Why this number, right? So there you go. I hope everybody in the States got beautiful pictures, right? Like, I mean, unfortunately here in London, not only we just never see the sun anyway, but in general, of course we didn't see the eclipse at all. But I have an incredible potent memory of seeing the eclipse on the 11th of August 1999. By the way, those were the months of my Abramelin operation, so that was quite intense, I would say. And I remember seeing it, and it's something that it wasn't like it was. I think it was like a 97% cover where I was, which was on the Adriatic Sea. But I will always remember. So I guess that everybody who actually witnessed this one, I've seen some incredible pictures, right? But now, what does this mean for Thelema? Okay, all right, let's put it like this. And what does it have to be with this 120 years? Well, first and foremost, actually, you know what? Before going to this slide, let's go back to this, which I like the best. First and foremost, let me tell you, nothing. In the sense that if these eclipse would have passed over Cairo, which is where so in Egypt, where the book was received, maybe there could have been some sort of, I don't know, magical and astrological really implications there, but it hasn't, right? It was on the other side of the world. And by the way, I would like to remember all of you that eclipses are not that rare, both solar and lunar. It's just that it's rare that you get to see a complete eclipse in a very populated area. Okay, much populated area. So that was really what really resonated. But in fact, it wasn't over Cairo. So sorry, gonna be honest with you. The title of this live stream was a bit of a clickbait, but given how many of you are here tonight, I would say that it worked. So thank you very much for that. There's even one of you is watching me from Twitch. Who's using Twitch to watch Thelema? Well, you know what? Thank you for being here. So what is happening here, I would say more important, is that it is the 120th year from the reception of the Book of the Law. Oh, that's who you are. It's Jorg. Hello, Jorg. Good to see you from Twitch. Amazing. So, what is 120 year? Well, first and foremost, let's remind us the fact that Thelema, before being anything else, it's a post-Christian tradition, current. Okay, I think this is really important because Thelema starts where Christianity ends. If you read my book, I made the point there very clearly. Thelema starts with Revelation. That's why we have the figures of the beast of Revelation and Babylon being so prominent and being, in fact, almost like a lower reverberation of fractalization of Nuit and Hadith, which are, the real, the higher echelon of, I would say, maybe divine interaction in Thelema, divine power in Thelema. Well, there is one tradition that Thelema sees itself as the direct heir, even if these people will generally really disagree with, which is Rosicrucianism. Okay, this is an engraving from 1604 of what is called Mons Abiagnus, or the Mountain of Abiagnus, or the Mountain of Caves, also called. Well, in this Mountain of Caves, it is found something very important. I mean, some of you who are very familiar with Crowley's text in the Holy Books, you will know that Mons Abiagnus is mentioned many times in those Thelemic texts as the mountain of initiation, a mythical image of the aspiration towards initiation, right? Well, before being Thelemic and before being used in Thelema, it was used in Rosicrucianism. That's why I say that Thelema sees itself as a continuation, as the spiritual heir to Rosicrucianism. Of course, again, Rosicrucians will disagree, and of course there are as many different. Yes, we're back. Well, it's amazing. First time I do a live stream in months, and look at that, having all sorts of problems. Well, what we were saying here, we were saying about Rosicrucians, and that there's no many different types of Rosicrucians, as there are many different types of Thelemites, right? But also, we were saying that this Mons Abiagnus, the mountain of Abiagnus, the mountain of initiation, the mountain of caves, it's very important. What do we find inside the mountain of initiation? Well, we find the pastos, or tomb of Christian Rosenkreuz. Christian Rosenkreuz is not just the one, the founder of Rosicrucianism. It's a mythical figure, of course, but it's also seen in Rosicrucianism in a way as an avatar of the logos of Christ. Okay, so it's a Christian Rosenkreuz, so a Christian Christ, the Christian man, and Rosenkreuz, it's German for Rosy Cross. And the Rosy Cross, it's a very important symbol, but it's also a symbol that represents, the union of the divine and the material, the spiritual and the physical. It's let's say it could be seen, it's very much could be seen as a sexo-magical reference. Well, in the pastos of Christian Rosenkreuz, it is seen as this locus, right? This mythical place inside the Mons of Abiagnus. It's seen as the place where you can actually find the Holy Grail, where you can find initiation proper, where you can find the connection with the divine that opens up to true initiation, right? Now, in the traditional Rosicrucians documents, it is said that when Christian Rosenkreuz died, this pastos, this receptory of initiation, closed, and it would only open after 120 years. 120 years can be seen as an interesting, let's say it's an interesting number for many different reasons. I will not completely tell you all the story, because I think it's important for you to maybe go and find out. And however, this pastos that would be closed and only open after let's say a mythical number of years, 120 years in particular, was also found. It's also found, for instance, in the Vault of the Adepti of the Golden Dawn. This is the room where the the magician of the Golden Dawn, the initiate of the Golden Dawn, goes into to receive the Adeptus grade. Okay, Adeptus minor grade, within, without. It's a bit complicated. Let's not go into that. But in general, we see how the number 120 is connected with the return of initiation. It's not so much to be understood as the completion of the great work. In fact, it's more to be understood as the true beginning of the great work, because only by establishing the tether with the divine, we can truly begin to work on our spiritual attainment and evolution. In many ways, all the magical operations, all the magical practice that comes before, it's only in preparation to this. To just give you an idea, for instance, all the practices you find in my book, it's only in preparation for this. What I'm writing in the second book will be how we get from there to this stage and beyond. But in fact, you need to have all that preparation first before you can open the pastos and enter the vault of the adepts. Okay. Now, how does all of this relate to Thelema? So, and why maybe this 120 year from the reception, from the start of the journey in Thelema, might be important? Well, we have some interesting, let's say, let's go back to this stage. This is better. We have some interesting formulas in Thelema. Okay, a magical formula. I said many times. A magical formula is a word or a series of words that encapsulate, reduce many concepts. Okay, imagine that you want to say a lot of things, but via Kabbalah, Hermetic Kabbalah, Gematria. In this case, you can see that maybe it's the case in this instance. You reduce them to a single word or a couple of words that encapsulate those ideas. And so when you utter those words, it's almost like you utter an entire sentence just in one word. That's what a magical formula is. Okay. Magical formulas are found everywhere in Thelema. Thelema is really like replete with it. It's full of it. And the 120 number, right? It's found in the formula of on. Now, on is a very important word. You find it in the Gnostic Mass as a reference to the Godhead, right? The God that you try to invoke in the Gnostic Mass. On is also the Egyptian name of Heliopolis, the city of the sun, the cradle of initiation. On is also made up by the Hebrew letter Ayin and Nun, O-N. Ayin is attributed to the devil, and Nun is attributed to death in the Thoth Tarot. Well, in the Tarot in general, but let's say in the Thoth Tarot. So Ayin number, by Gematria, it's 70. Nun, by numbering, is 50. And what do they make together? 120. The formula of on, seen as the union of Ayin and Nun, seen as the union and understanding and practice of the lessons of the devil and of death, open the pastos, open the cradle of initiation. This is the key to the mountain of the caves. So this is the key to the mountain of initiation. This is why the number 120, it's incredibly important in Thelema, but I think it's also very important this year being the 120th year since the reception of the Book of the Law. It's almost like in the last 120 years, we played. That was the, let's say, we were getting ready. And some of us used this time to study and practice and whatnot. Some maybe have lost their time. Well, you know what? From now on, we are in this stage. At least we're pushing toward, let's say, like from an Ionic standpoint, we're finally starting to push onto the pastos, onto the cradle of initiation, onto the next stage, right? This, of course, is from Liber Porta Lucis, which is one of the instructional documents of the AA. And this graphic represents the first grades in the AA and the various works each grade has to accomplish in order to move on. Well, long story short, this is the Thelemic meaning, the Kabbalistic Thelemic meaning behind the number 120. If you have any questions about this, please leave them in the chat. But I think this is all about it. If you're asking me, so why, what do I do with this? Like, how do I use this? Well, that's why you sign up to my courses. Or if you feel that you want to waste your time on hierarchical orders that will get you nowhere, as I said many times, you can go and sign up to any of those. But in general, this is the beginning of adept level magic, adept level initiation. Okay, understanding, for instance, this is why, for instance, I teach the Thought Tower Magic course, because in that I can start giving you some actual information of what these cards really mean and how you actually use them as portal, um, as a pictorial representation of a series of magical formulas, as we said before. The union of the card, the interplay of the cards. You see one here, but imagine there are 22 major arcana and 78 cards. There are many interplays between the tarot. Each one of that interplay is a codified formula. There's a lot going through it, right? And this is only a glimpse. Okay. Very good. That's it for now on this topic, right? Let me see something in the chat very quickly. Oh, there you go. So when you say Christian saying Crowley is having a heavy natal Mercurial planet energy influence. Well, yes, but we're still thinking about him and his works today, 120 years later. You know, as I said many times, astrology is not my forte. I was focused more on tarot and Kabbalah, but in general, yeah, it's pretty clear that he had. I can see that, right? I can see how looking at his natal chart can get us into this kind of thinking, right? Wow, we're actually over 100 people. I haven't had this many people since the pandemic. Well, again, it's great to have you all here. So what else? What else to say? Oh yeah, just there's I forgot. In case you haven't noticed, I'm not much on here anymore, right? I'm not. I don't do nearly as much live streams as I used to. I also kind of disappeared from social media in general. Part of it is because I'm writing the second book that I signed up is going to be out. Well, it's going to be out in October 2025, unless I finish earlier, which I don't think I will. So it's a long way away, and will be once again out on Watkins. We ironed out some differences on how to market the book and how to ignore the naysayers. Let's put it like that. So I would say we have a really, 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 really good working relationship now. So anyway, why I'm telling you this, why I'm showing you this, well, I've been writing a lot on Substack. Substack is free, right? You can go and sign up, subscribe to it. I'm gonna use Substack more and more as a way to put out content. I hate this term, but that's it, right? Because first of all, all of this, you just see 6 of them. I think I wrote like 42 already. There's a lot of material out. I just found out like a stride in writing again. So I could make all of this into YouTube scripts and make videos out of it, but I just suck at looking at the camera and reading a script. I can do this. I can speak like this very easily, but if you ask me to read a script, I look like a mummy and I don't like it, and I just look back at the video and I hate editing the video. And to be fair, very honest with you, I don't have the budget to hire an editor, so it's just like I would have to edit it. I just don't like it. I like to write. I put it on Substack. I There's a lot of 500 of you subscribed there, so I guess that's it's working, right? But in general, if you want more of me and my ideas, you can go on Substack, and as usual, thank you, Jessica, for putting the link. It's Marco Visconti at Substack.com. Very easy. I wrote some things that really resonated recently. I wrote about the crossing of the abyss, which is a really, really debated topic, as you can imagine. I read about why I really don't want to hear about your mystical experiences, and this is really about trying and teach folks that seeking validation from their own magical mystical experience is problematic, inherently problematic. I wrote about the new edition of the Tot Tarot. I wrote about an overview on Liber Porte Secrete, which is one of the secret rituals of the of one specific lineage of the AA, the one by J. Daniel Gunther, so the one in close alliance with the O.T.O, and the one I personally believe being incredibly problematic, um, incredibly autocratic, incredibly nasty. Let's put it like that. So I will do more of this. I have more of these rituals, and I will do more of this commentary. I think a lot of people should see what they do, right, and make their own decisions if they're the true heirs of Crowley, as they say. They're the one and only true AA lineage. Okay. Somebody's saying, I'm thinking of getting a new edition of the Thought Deck. I'm an idiot because I should have it. So there you go. Should have here to show it to you. But the reality there in you cannot really see in camera the difference. I try to make photos of it, but in general, I don't have a good camera. I don't have good lighting. The difference is quite stark, like quite stark. When you see them in face, like in face to face, the colors are very different. So I mean, I was there at the Venice Biennale in 2013 to see the restored ones. And by the way, they're massive. They're really big, right? So I saw them, and I remember realizing, wow, the colors are really different from everything. Especially, I mean, somebody's saying I've seen picture. I've seen pics on Facebook. Trust me, you haven't. Like the most pictures that you find online are heavily different. Like they're really different from what you see them when you see them with your eyes. I think AGM or Anya did a very good job. The card stock is decent. It's not flimsy. It's actually, I think it's a deck that will last the test of time. If you're into the Thought Tarot, I think it's pretty much like a necessary purchase. Remember that I don't think it's very easily to find, though. I was able to find it at Watkins again, here in London, Watkins Bookstore in Cecil Court, Covent Garden. If you go there, they had a lot of stock of that, so you could find it. I'm not sure you can find it online that easily yet, but you will. I mean, this is out now. It's gonna be, it's gonna, like, promulgate, as they say in the word, going forward. All right. Some Q&A time. Really, I have only one question that I received from before, but I think there's a little bit to chat about that. So let me see if I can actually. That's better. Yes. So, by the way, again, if you have more questions, you can put them in the comments, and I will answer live. So, or if you are on Instagram, you can put them on Instagram. I can see that as well. Perfect. So. Somebody's asking, Hierophant of Osiris, not Osiris, Osiris, what are the most negatives you see in our Thelemic community, and how do you deal with criticism in our practice in your shoes? Strange wording of that, but I think you mean it. I think I got what you're asking. First things first. I really don't believe there is one Thelemic community. I think there are plenty, and I think they are very isolated from each other. And I really think they don't talk to each other because they hate each other, right? In general, people in the O.T.O, which is still perceived as the biggest Thelemic community, people in the O.T.O are very closed. They talk to each other. They don't talk to. They are actually usually suggested not to talk with people outside. That, remember, I was a member of O.T.O, so I can speak directly from my experience. Um, they they exist in their own bubbles. Okay, people in other recognized Thelemic orders and groups are more open. I found that of all of them, the people that are in James Eshelman Temple of Thelema are, in my opinion, the best, the most, the better prepared magically, the better prepared academically, and the ones that are really happy to engage with other Thelemites without bad faith. So I guess that there's been some changing of the guard, a new people have been put on top, which is very rare in Thelemic communities, and it's really people in Thelemic communities. People get on top and they never fucking leave. They're always there, right? Instead, the Temple of Thelema, I mean, James Eshelman is still there, but I think is basically like how would you say, like, well, not CEO, but like somebody on the board of directors, but not directly, right? Like acting as the absolute leader, and I think that's really good. So first and foremost, there's no Thelemic community. There are many Thelemic communities, and they don't talk to each other. So, how do we deal with the negatives? Well, when it comes from inside, when it comes with Thelemites on Thelemites problems, I don't think there's much we can do, because I don't think we will be able to set aside our differences. Um, I have no respect anymore for people in the O.T.O. I have no respect, even less respect to people in the AAA, in the Gunter and Breeze AA, because I have been at the I've been subject to harassment by these people for the last 5 years. So no respect in that direction. I'm not saying that I have no respect for any person in the O.T.O. Lon Milo Duquette, David Shoemaker, great people, decent people, still O.T.O. members, but still decent people. I'm not saying there are no decent people in the O.T.O., but in general, I have no interest in working with them. I have no interest in even having listened to what they have to say, right? Um, so in many ways, as brothers fight ye. And when you look at that phrase from the Book of the Law, and you see one of the many Crowley's commentaries is all about as brothers fight, he means well, as being fighting, but being respectful of each other. And then my perspective has always been that people should remember that famous brothers that fought each other are Romus and Remus, and Cain and Abel. That's all I have to say. Right? It really is about having to survive, and it's really survival of the fittest. Thelema is force and fire, and Rahukuit is a god of war and vengeance. We should never forget that. Just saying. Now, when it comes to the criticism to our practice, um, another thing that I think we need to understand, and I really hope all of you are going to, well, you should all open your eyes on this. We're moving more and more into a proper new wave of satanic panic. It's not gonna end. Every month it's worse. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. Okay. Remember that this year in the United States there's presidential elections. Even if you don't live in the United States, I don't live in the United States. Unfortunately, what happens there reverberates in the rest of the world. We've seen it happening before. So we can even like pretend it's not true. We've seen it happen before, only 6 years ago. It doesn't matter who win, and I have no love for Trump. I have no love for Biden either. I think all politicians are shit anyway. But personally, I do believe in the lesser of two evils, and for me, that is Biden, or in general the Democrats. Even if I have no love for the Democrats, let's put it clear, it's gonna get worse. It's not gonna get better. You will have to accept that being a public Thelemite, you will still be seen increasingly more so as a Satanist. If any of you have interests that are, Magick adjacent, like I do, I'm interested in High Strangest. I'm interested in ufology. Those, those scenes, those communities are getting less open to Crowley and Thelema, not more open, less open. increasingly so, it's all about demons. It's all about Jack Parsons opening up a portal to hell. It's all about all the uh, spirits that you contact through magic. It's all the worst. It's the narrative is changing drastically. Okay, so that is the problem that we are going to face. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Get ready for that. Okay. Um, I'm saying this as somebody who actually has a name and a face. Um, I'm very public. You all know that about this. So I'm not saying I'm not worried yet, but it's definitely true that I could start getting worried in the years to come. I think it really depends on how crazy this year ends up to be, right? But so long story short, if you ask me, how do you deal with a criticism in our practice? Well, first and foremost, do not engage with these people. You will not change their mind. There's nothing you can say or do to make somebody who sees Crowley, Parsons, Thelema as evil. They will not think anything you say. And it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter which books you suggest. It doesn't matter what you're trying to present. These people are fanatics. They don't want to listen. They know better. Okay. I mean, of course they don't, but that's how they feel. So, in many ways, I think that we are going to possibly learn the power of silence once again. I don't, if you ask me what does it look like in in the age of information and social media, I don't know yet, but that's something that I've been thinking about. So I hope that answer the question, right? Yeah, I think it does. Now let me see here what we have. We have another question in the meantime. Do you think Thelema should continue like a discrete religion? Should or not open itself to the general public? Well, I guess I already, I already mentioned that. But I would like to say that I think we really need to move away from seeing Thelema as a religion. Oh, now like how do you dare saying something like that? How is it possible? What do you mean? Crowley say that it was a religion. No, Crowley did not. If you read Magic in Theory and Practice, Crowley very much laugh at the idea of having to see Thelema as a religion. Crowley did present an option to understand Thelema as a religion with the Gnostic Mass, Liber 15, and he thought that it would be a very good way to use that ritual as funnel into the O.T.O. And the O.T.O. is and was, especially in Crowley's mind, Thelemic Freemasonry. So a way to present an initiatory path for those who are more interested in a more passive way to initiation, which is what Freemasonry is. Okay. So it's only the contemporary incarnation of the O.T.O. from the Grady McMurtry and Bill Breeze, so then the 80s onward, that the focus on the Liber 194, the Gnostic Mass as the absolute focus of the O.T.O. and so of Thelema has become a thing, right? So in many ways, I don't think we should see Thelema as a religion, right? Thelema is a magical philosophy with an incredible important emphasis on practice and doing, as opposed to just thinking and navel gazing, which is what most people do. But it's also something that requires more direct action than most religious practices. Okay, so now that said, do I think that we should maybe start considering becoming more discreet? I just say that. I think given where we're headed, right? I think that it might be for the best, right? So I know, not the bearer of good news, unfortunately, but this is. I mean, I can only be honest. That's who I am. I cannot. cannot do anything else, unfortunately. So in many ways, yeah. What's happening here? Let me see. What if we start the rumor that burning the deck gives more power? Well, imagine that. You will remember that in the Tunis commentary, or the new commentary of the Book of the Law, which is the one you find printed at the end of every public edition of the Book of the Law, there's this thing, right? Like, everybody should burn this book. I'm not quoting verbatim, but you know what I'm talking about. I always say that when you look at that commentary, try to read it from the bottom up, so from the last phrase back to the first, and tell me if maybe you have a better understanding of what Crowley was telling you to do. Okay, maybe that commentary is more like an intelligence test, and I wonder how many actually failed that intelligence test. Anyway, okay, do we have any more questions? I'm gonna have a sip of tea. I see a lot of people in Texas in the chat. I hope you are going to do well in the coming months, because I feel like Texas is going to be a little bit rocky, to say the least. Let me just see also. I'm getting messages on other devices to see if anybody's asking question there. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry about this. Because if not, I think we might actually. I remember that. Jorg from Strafton says, I deep fried the book right after reading. Yeah, that is very true. Oh, look who's in the chat. Hello, Justin. Justin from the side. Thank you for the super chat. How can we build more ecumenical relations between practitioners and academics, and practitioners of various traditional and spiritual modalities? Wow, that is a really good question. Okay, I can tell you what I've observed so far. When it comes to Thelema in particular, the entirety of academia is only talking to a selected number of O.T.O approved scholar practitioners. I think that's the correct term, right? Those who are both academics and practitioners. And this was by default, but this was by a precise plan put up in the 2000s, more or less, by the leadership of the O.T.O. I'm not going to name names. One of the three main leaders of the O.T.O is a very, very famous academic, published professor, etc., etc. And they're the people that decided that, well, started to funnel more O.T.O members into academia. Maybe with a little hint of nepotism there as well, possibly. Anyway, long story short, what happens today is that there's no much ecumenical relation, because if an academic wants to talk to a Thelemic practitioner, they only get one unique and very one-sided view of the story. And that is really, really problematic, because even when we look at the history of Thelema as it is presented in the official O.T.O websites, that is only one version, and it's not even it's not even the correct one. It is a history of Thelema that was written by Bill Heydrich, published online, and worked upon. Anyway, it's very one-sided. I think that, for instance, you, Justin, you've been doing a fantastic job with your channel and with your curiosity, reaching out to practitioner directly without going in many ways through the official channels, right? So it would be good possibly to see if we can actually maybe facilitate a forum, right? It doesn't have to be like just the usual online forum that always ends up, always devolves into some people talking, other people, just doing other things. Maybe we could start organizing conventions or conferences, right, across the world. Like maybe we can do something here in London, maybe we can do something in the States, where maybe the idea could be that, a really diverse panel of organizers come together. But it really has to be diverse, right? That is my. I'm just spitballing here. It's something I will have to talk more. Maybe I will actually reach to you by email, because I really think that it could be really good. I would even promise to behave. Like, um, but yeah. Let me see here. So once again, thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. Somebody is saying that doing this in Florida or New York would be awesome. Um, yeah, I mean, like if something like that happens, it would have to. I really think it would have to be itinerant, right? Again, to really be sure that various tradition and spiritual modalities are, as Justin was saying, are actually met. So it would have to be maybe 1 year you do it in Florida, 1 year you do. So I would say like it would be 1 year on one side of the Atlantic and a year on the other side of the Atlantic, and never in the same place, like moving around. But again, as you can imagine, it's a lot of work, a lot of organization, and anybody notice that we're living in times where war seems to be looming, right? I don't want to be doom and gloom more than I usually am, but international travel might not be as easy as it has been in the. Well, I wouldn't say that in recent years, because of course due to COVID that wasn't the case, but you know somebody's saying I can help with the US only if you behave. I will behave. By the way, folks, Take the Ring. It's a YouTube channel. To me, it's the best YouTube channel on everything Twin Peaks. Go give Jeremiah here a follow, a like. If you like Twin Peaks, you love it. So do it. And yes, please, if you want to help, you're ready. You're there, and I will behave. I promise. Maybe. Another question. Do you not think there are already too many occult conference? What will this do differently? Yes, Jason, I do think there are too many pagan or occult conference. Absolutely, I agree. Here in the UK, famously, there are a lot of them. So what would be different? Well, quality control. Um, I really think that a lot of these occult conferences have very low quality control because they are not so much focused on the message, right? They're not focused on um, teaching, right, about a culture or various traditions and whatnot. They're focused on creating community. Community for me, it's the bane of magic, because people. I mean, that I wrote that in one of the recent Substacks. People get focused on communities and they forget that this is about, should be at least, about initiation and spiritual evolution. So what would be different? Well, quality control and being. I would also say it shouldn't be too academic, right? Because that would to some people will do not react well to us, to the academic delivery. I don't really like, well, the academic format of somebody standing and just reading from a script or a paper. I don't like it. I like when things are a little bit more engaging. So again, quality control, finding the correct sweet spot between a more occult conference where there's maybe a little bit more of showmanship involved, very rarely, but there should be, and the academic side where it's more rigorous, right? And in general, I would say that having a committee that actually selects interesting people, people with something to say, and people with a message, as opposed of just anyone or their friends, which is what happens. What's going to happen soon on a Thelemic community, on a Thelemic symposium here in the UK, which I'm not going to name. But basically, it's their friends and their families to make a little bit of community together. That is what I think it would be different. Quality control. We have people from Australia. Hello, New Angel Tarot. Good morning from Australia. Good morning to you, and good morning, good evening from Switzerland. Wow, folks! The beginning of this live stream, which was plagued by gremlins, I say that I didn't have. I mean, we used to have hundreds of people in the pandemic, not anymore, and today we have hundreds of people again. Thank you. It's nice to be. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be, to have people still very much interested in this topics. If is there any other questions, this is your time to drop them there. Somebody's saying this conference would need to have the specific aim to get scholars and practitioners together. Correct, exactly. I would say there has been other attempts to do this. Okay, I'm not gonna name names because I don't think those attempts were successful. So once again, if anything, we have the experience from all those, I would say, failed experiments, so we can possibly now know what works and what doesn't and try to get better. But I think that would be good. And again, if we could also, like, do it with business way, as it's written in the book of the law, it would really be to possibly create, not just do something like, ad hoc year by year, but possibly create, a company with proper treasurer and everything, so you can start getting funds to do it really well, right? So because like it's gonna be complicated, right? But I think that that's the way to go. In regards to the all anniversary, how do you observe its influence this go around? Well, as I just said, look at the world around you. Once again, and I don't want to go doom and gloom, but once again, we are possibly on the brink of serious disrupting conflicts. Of course, we are 2 years and counting into the war in Ukraine. There's a lot of wars nobody talk about in the Sahel region, in Africa. Sorry, really serious problems because basically the French colonial empire that everybody forgot existed, but still existed and fueled France economic power, it's falling apart and it's going in strongly into Russia in influence. And we have all the, I mean, we have like something horrible waiting to happen in Israel and Iran. Okay, so the truth is that is the influence of Liber out the Legis. Remember, I am a god of war and vengeance. This is it's undeniable. It's all around us. I'm not happy about it, and I wish I could tell you something differently. But that is the influence of a new eon in its birth pains. We are literally living through the birth of something. It's 120 years. It's four generation from a human perspective, 5 generations. I'm terrible at maths, but you can imagine how many generations from 1904 to 9. Well, my grandfather was born in 1908, so 3 generations. I can do maths. Amazing. It's nothing. It's a glimpse in the true length of an eon. Okay, so we that decided to incarnate in this moment in time, we decided to go through these experiences. At least, of course, I mean that is my my perspective. Okay. Let me see what's happening here. Do you have enough new subscriber for the full immersion Magick course to run on May the 1st? We're getting there. As of today, I think I think I need another 5 people to make it fully viable, but I think we're gonna get there. I gotta say, I want to really thank Foolish Fish. He put out one of his weekly, magical news videos today, and he spoke about it. So I want to really thank Denis for doing that. I think that will help. Honestly, he has a much bigger reach than I do. So maybe some people will be interested. I will do a little bit more promotion in the next few weeks. So possibly it will be nice, and we will get there, and we will do this crazy 6 weeks where I will teach you the basics, the tarot, and the intermediates of Thelema in 6 weeks. We're gonna have fun. Trust me. You're gonna hate that if you subscribe to that. I, I can be a bit of a harsh master when it comes to teaching. So yeah. All right. What's happening here? Oh, on a lighter note, how sweet is the Austin Spare Tarot deck? Well, funny you mentioned that. I got it here. It's really good. The guys at Stranger Tractor Press did a fantastic job with this one. I mean, like the cardstock is amazing, and you can see it. I mean, again, it's pointless to. Oh, look what just came out. There you go. Our friend, the devil. We just talk about it tonight, right? It's a really good deck. If you love Austin Osman's pair, you cannot not get this deck. It's and I mean you should also get the book that comes with it. It really is fantastic. It doesn't even cost that much, and I guess it costs as much as the AGM Orania Totharo, and the quality is another level. Absolutely. So yeah, get it. It's really, really, really good. Somebody's saying mine hasn't arrived yet. I don't. You remember, Andrew? We live in London. I think the postal service is gone. Some people have already received their Leotech seal book by Lazarus Press. Mine was shipped over 2 weeks ago. It's still not here. Actually, to the point I'm getting a real bit worried about that. So yeah, it's gonna get there. No worries. All right, I'm gonna have another sip of tea. Somebody's saying, as a small business owner in the South, I always practice silence. I think you're doing the right way. I don't know where it's in the South. I mean, if it's like I guess we're talking about the United States. Like New Orleans, I think should be relatively safe, but everywhere else, yeah, especially this year, especially if Trump gets back into power. It's going to be fun times, or maybe not. All right, folks, if there's no other questions, I think we can actually wrap this up. I'll just remember that. There you go. No, why do you do that? There you go. The Tree of Clifford Explored Weekend Workshop. It's next week, 20 and 21st of April. And, of course, the Full Immersion Magic starts from May the 1st. As I was saying before, if you if you decide to help me doing these two things a little bit more push, let me know. And the first 10 people will get a Kindle, like my book on Kindle, for free. And you don't have to use it, by the way. Like if you already have it, you can give it to someone else, right? Or you can keep it for yourself, because honestly, I like books. I'm obsessed with books. I don't have space for books anymore. So, EPUBs and Kindles are becoming more and more my go-to approach to all of these things. Let me just see. Oh, one more question in the meantime. The 6 weeks immersion, that international time will be so yes, we are going to meet on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. BST, British Summer Time. At this time, exactly at this time, right? I always do my everything live online. I always do it at 9 p.m. BST. I found out it to be more some like that hour that most people can get to. Also, with all my courses, as soon as the live stream is over, I edit the video right away and I put it available for people to watch it as soon as it's done, pretty much. So yeah, it's I always been doing that because I realized that sadly, most of the people that are interested in learning from me, they're either in the States or in Australia. I have very, very, very few European, British students, or even I would say, social media followers. Most of my audience is either in the States or in Australia. So I'm far away from all of you. So unfortunately, I cannot help with that really. Even if there is a very, 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 very far out idea of one day moving to Australia or New Zealand. I don't know. There's been something in the head there forever. I've never been, so I definitely would love to. So yeah. All right. I guess that's it for tonight. Once again, thank all of you for being back here. We have right now 120 people. Perfect number, right? We discuss the meaning of 120. So it's been, I guess, it's nice to have 120 of you here. So once again, thank you all for being here, and it's been a pleasure. And I will see you again at some point. I don't know exactly when, but for now, do what the will shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love and the will.